Stop everything you are doing right now because what you are about to hear is shaking the entire fandom, and if you love shocking revelations, emotional twists, and behind-the-scenes drama, then subscribe immediately, like this video, comment your thoughts, and share it everywhere because this story is unfolding fast and you do not want to miss a single detail. The night started like any other until it did not. One unexpected moment turned into a wave that swept across the internet, leaving fans stunned, confused, and desperate for answers. Whispers had been circulating for weeks, but no one was prepared for what happened next. Dylan, Wang, and SHEN YUE were no longer hiding. The tension, the glances, the silence, it all finally made sense. Sources close to the situation revealed that Dylan had reached a breaking point. Tired of speculation, tired of rumors, tired of watching narratives be written without his voice. This time he decided to take control. Not through vague hints or quiet distance, but through clarity that no one could misinterpret. It began with a closed-door meeting that was never meant to leak. Insiders say Dylan spoke calmly yet firmly about truth, respect, and moving forward without fear. His words carried weight, not anger but certainty. He made it clear that his connection with SHEN YUE was real, meaningful, and no longer something he wanted buried under noise. When news of this conversation spread, the reaction was immediate. Fans exploded with excitement. Timelines refreshed non-stop. Old clips resurfaced. Every shared smile, every quiet moment suddenly looked different. What once felt like coincidence now felt intentional. SHEN YUE remained composed throughout the chaos. Those close to her say she was not surprised but deeply moved. For years she had carried herself with grace, choosing silence over defense, letting her work speak louder than words. Now the truth was stepping into the light without her needing to push it forward. But not everyone reacted with grace. BAI became an unexpected topic of conversation as mocking comments and subtle jabs began circulating online. Fans noticed the shift immediately. The contrast between calm dignity and unnecessary shade became impossible to ignore. Debates ignited across platforms, with many calling out the unfair comparisons and manufactured rivalry. Then came the moment no one saw coming. Dylan delivered big news. Not through gossip, not through leaks, but through a deliberate statement that sent shockwaves everywhere. He spoke about choosing honesty, about protecting what matters, and about no longer allowing outsiders to dictate his personal life. He did not name names, yet the message was unmistakable. This was not an attack. It was a boundary. And it was powerful. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere shifted. People who once whispered now listened. Colleagues who speculated now stepped back. The narrative had changed, and control was firmly in Dylan and SHEN YUE's hands. Fans described the feeling as surreal. Some cried. Some celebrated. Some felt validated after years of believing in a connection. Others tried to catch up with a reality that no longer fit old assumptions. What made this moment unforgettable was not drama but intention. There were no flashy gestures, no forced announcements, just two people choosing to stop hiding what already existed. As days passed, the noise softened into something deeper. Respect. Understanding. Anticipation. The story was no longer about rivalry or mockery. It was about growth, courage, and choosing peace over performance. And this is only the beginning. What comes next will redefine everything fans thought they knew. If this story moved you, shocked you, or made you rethink everything, then make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share, because this channel brings you the stories that go beyond headlines into the real emotions behind the spotlight, and trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next. After the news spread, the atmosphere around Dylan, Wang, and SHEN YUE changed in a way no one could ignore. It was not loud at first. It was subtle. A shift in how people spoke around them. A pause before questions were asked. A careful tone in interviews. The industry felt it before the public fully understood it. Dylan did not rush to follow up his statement. He knew the power of silence. Every hour he stayed quiet allowed the truth to sink deeper. Fans replayed his words again and again. Not just what he said, but how he said it. Calm. Steady. Resolved. This was not a man testing reactions. This was someone standing firmly in his decision. SHEN YUE, on the other hand, went about her schedule as usual. Appearances. Rehearsals. Meetings. Yet those close to her noticed something different. There was a lightness in her expressions. A quiet confidence that did not need explanation. When asked indirect questions, she smiled gently and redirected the conversation. She was not hiding. She was protecting peace. Behind the scenes, the two finally met after weeks of distance caused by schedules and pressure. The meeting was private and unannounced. No assistants hovering. No phones recording. Just two people sitting across from each other in a quiet space that felt familiar. They did not start with the news. They started with laughter. The kind that comes when tension finally dissolves. Then came reflection. Dylan spoke about how freeing it felt to finally stop pretending. How exhausting it had been to constantly calculate every word. SHEN YUE listened without interrupting. She understood too well. She shared how years of restraint had taught her patience, but also how much strength it takes to stay silent when your truth is questioned daily. She told him that hearing his words publicly was not shocking but grounding. It reminded her that authenticity still mattered. They talked about BAI not with anger but with clarity. Dylan made it clear that manufactured comparisons and forced narratives had no place in his life anymore. He expressed disappointment not in people but in systems that thrive on division. SHEN YUE agreed. She had seen it before. Rivalry created where none existed. Stories shaped to provoke reaction. The mocking comments that circulated online began to lose momentum as fans shifted focus. Instead of feeding drama, many chose to call for respect. The tone changed. Conversations matured. People started talking about growth rather than conflict. Days later, Dylan appeared at an event, and something subtle happened. When asked about the future, he smiled and said he was finally aligned with it. No names. No confirmation. Yet everyone understood. The message was consistency. He was not backtracking. He was moving forward. SHEN YUE later shared a quiet moment of her own. In an interview about life balance, she spoke about choosing environments that allow honesty. She spoke about surrounding herself with people who value her peace. Fans caught the subtext immediately. It was not an announcement. It was affirmation. The public began to accept what was unfolding. Not as a scandal. Not as shock value. But as a natural progression. Two people choosing transparency over performance. Weeks turned into months, and the narrative settled into something rare. Stability. There were no dramatic denials. No sudden reversals. Just consistency in tone, actions, and presence. What made this story powerful was not that Dylan and SHEN YUE went public. It was how they did it. Without spectacle. Without forcing attention. They allowed truth to speak and let time do the rest. Fans who had followed them for years felt rewarded. Not with chaos but with clarity. They saw maturity where they once saw confusion. Intention where there was once silence. And this is where the story finds its ending for now. Not with a dramatic declaration but with a shared understanding. That real connection does not need to be loud. That respect outlasts rumors. That choosing honesty can change everything. If you stayed until this moment, you witnessed more than a story. You witnessed growth. So subscribe, like, comment your thoughts, and share this video. Because here we tell stories that move beyond noise and into truth. And the journey ahead is only just beginning.